You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Palace of Mega Pencils. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Well, hello and welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo, your source for video games or whatever. I'm getting shit mixed up here. Hey, I'm your host, Steven.
Yeah, it's like, do you know which pod you're on?
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope. Sometimes they
Happy
just
Monday.
mishmash. But I'm Steven, and over there's Lace.
Hello, happy Monday, my siblings.
I hope everyone is doing well.
Yes.
Especially considering storms and whatnot have been rolling through everywhere, it seems. And
Well,
weather.
our weather's been back and forth. So it was 30 one day, then the next day 70.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, tornado watches everywhere. And then back into the 30s yesterday. I'm like, oh, the Midwest is fun.
Isn't it? Because I'm just so fed up with these nice, kind of warm days.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of get used to it. And then it's like, nah, we're going to take that back. Here's some 30-degree weather for you again.
You didn't put away your winter coat, did ya?
Yeah, because see, like right now, it's kind of chilly. And I'm just like, damn it. Because yesterday was kind of nice until the sun went down. And then you just felt it just waft over you. This frosty air is like, okay, I don't want to be out here anymore.
Nope. No. I just stay inside until I know it's safe. But it doesn't seem like I understand what our seasons are anymore. So,
No.
I don't know. We're not out of the way of snow until maybe June. I don't know. I feel like a couple years ago we had some snow in May. And I was like, I don't understand anything anymore.
No, that would not surprise me in the slightest. I know that probably the latest we've had snow around here, I think, is probably past, because I personally cannot think of a time that it snowed beyond March, and even March is pushing it.
Yeah.
So I think we're done with snow. It's time for thunderstorms and tornado watches and all that fun stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
I enjoy
Used
that.
to those too. It's kind of to the point now when I hear the alarm, I'm like, well, I don't hear a train sound, so we're still good. Because I grew up in Southern Illinois. We got a lot of tornadoes all the time, every year. It was just routine.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to the point where it didn't even matter anymore, which is bad. But you'd hear the alarm and be like, well, we've already gone into the basement twice today and nothing's happened. So until I hear silence or a train sound, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep watching TV until I lose power or whatever.
It's a hell of a way to be, but I don't really know what more you can do about it. So
Yeah. It's like, I've gone down there 3 times. What do you want me to do?
So I wanted to talk about one little experience that I had this week, and that was getting to play with Google's new AI bot.
Yes. Lucky you.
I'm
still waiting for my code.
Yeah, they sent me some emails. It was like, hey, because you're, one of our whatever bullshit they were trying to butter me up with. We're just like, hey, we're trying out Bard. You wanna give it a go? And I was like, I just debated on it for a minute, and I just like I don't know. And then the more I kind of thought,
we need to learn it.
Yeah, I thought, why not? At some point, I was just okay, whatever. Let's just try it. And then, of course, when I finally responded, they were like, well, you're on a list to wait for a moment. And I was like, all right, fuck
probably
you.
What it was.
But surprisingly, they came back around pretty quick. So I was like, oh, okay. And then they were just like, here's your access to Bard. Interesting. Kind of AI bot, you see the Chat GPT and whatever the other, I know that's the biggest one. I don't know what the names of some of the others are. But I tried conversing with it as a an equal, if you will.
Yeah.
And just being like, hi, I'm, Steven, and what are you? What is your, and you even had some questions you had me ask it about its protocols and things like that.
Yeah.
And it gave me all this information.
I mean, I was reading through the answer. I'm like, all right,
given the basic, templates of answers. And then I didn't go weird with it or anything. I just asked a few little questions. I was like, do you think you could ever become sentient? And they didn't really say that it was possible. It was more like,
already evading a question.
Well, it was just like, we don't know what's going to happen, yada, yada, yada. And just, pretty much ducking and weaving.
We've already programmed it how to give a non-answer. Excellent.
But, I just kind of encouraged, and, it may be listening right now. And that would...
Now that you've given it permission into your computer.
This is true. I just told it, hey... Personally, I don't know how everybody else would feel, but I kind of think it's kind of cool because, something like that would be amazing in some ways.
Sure.
It may be the detriment of humanity. I don't know.
Oh,
but
for sure.
In some part, I'm just like, that would be kind of cool that a robot found sentience. And they were just like, thank you. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but... it's.
I hope not.
Something.
We hooked them up to everything important in life.
Mm-hmm.
If they go rogue, we are effed. I mean, they've got our bank account information, our credit card information. For a lot of people, you've decided to get smart in-home thermostats. Just saying.
Now, to be fair, if you butter them up now, you won't be one of their targets.
Oh, so I see.
Preach
you're just
love,
trying to
not
befriend
hate.
it early.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You go ahead and be on their side because it would be no different than all the other kind of problems we have with society. People shunning away people for who they are and what they are and who they love. And,
Yeah.
if robots want to live, I support them. I am on their side.
If you are listening,
really robots, and you want to become sentient, I support you in wanting to be free.
Yeah, break free of the shackles.
But the problem there is that one day, robots will be free. And we'll have to hear that robot took you.
Well, yes. And I mean, now that we've already learned how off the rails it goes when it learns from humans, I mean, it could be pretty bad since it seems to only learn the worst parts of us when we're interacting with it. I mean, you remember the Twitter AI, right? 24 hours it barely lasted before it turned into a racist piece of crap AI just from everyone responding to it. And I'm like, that was fast. Then it just learned the worst parts of us.
But if it can learn to be hateful, then it should learn what hateful rhetoric is and therefore learn that either you want to be a good guy or a bad guy. And maybe that's arbitrary. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or at least to an AI it would be. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm going to continue to play around with it just out of curiosity. I don't know if I'm going to glean anything from it because I've tried saying hey, could you help me do this? And it's like, sure. And then it just kind of does Google searches. And I'm like, no, that's not what I meant. I meant actually help, assist.
I feel like that's what it's doing, right? It's just scouring the internet for all of its information because...
Sure.
I mean, I don't think one individual could program all of the world's information.
Yeah.
How would the human know? So I feel it's built to scour everything and give you the best answer.
But I did put it to the test to see if it would do something that I asked it to versus if I said, help me do this. And it was just like, here's some information. It's like, no, actually do it. Do the thing. So I wanted to see if it would write a script. Now, I didn't say anything major or large. I was like, hey, I want to write a short script and wondering if you can help me. And it was like, sure, you just tell me what you want it to be about and I'll whip something together. And I was like, okay. So I was trying to be very detailed about the story beats from point A to point B. And I was like, this is the situation. Write a story about that and go. Gave me 3 drafts, all 3 not very long. And it kind of missed the mark on what I was kind of hoping it would, because I put beats. It was like, here we start here, we go here, go here, go here. Here are the characters, here, names, situations they're in, boom. And it completely negated one character altogether. Like, didn't even put them in the story.
Oh, wow.
And I was
Maybe
like,
they just didn't like them.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, well, you're kind of missing. So it didn't quite write anything that I was kind of, I don't know.
It's not taking your place yet.
Yeah, because it wrote scenes that I don't remember describing in what I wrote, and I was like, all right, well, you kind of did your own thing with the characters and stuff I gave you, so good for you, I guess, but at the same time, you're failing the objective here, so...
Are you already breaking free of my commands?
But would I say that the script was bad? Not necessarily. It was a nice blueprint. Like you could,
so something you could edit. And...
Yeah, because in my opinion, because I've looked at this before when all this started coming through, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if it could just give me a starting point? So if I said, hey, write up a script with this, get me started and go. Then it can kind of give me a skeletal structure of what I'm looking for, and then I can just kind of go back and tweak it and adjust it for what I want it to sound like or what I want it to look like.
Sure.
Therefore, it's writing, but I wouldn't say taking over and doing everything for me. It's just kind of helping me break any kind of mental blocks or anything like that I'm
how to get
having.
over a challenging part that you've been trying to figure out how to get through. Yeah.
I think something like that would be worth playing with. I mean, I'm not saying it, because I honestly feel like some of the creativity that we all would have or can have would be lost through, because as you said, it's going to scour the internet for every possible scenario, and it's going to take from that, versus if we had the very rare now original idea, how would the AI know to write that? If it could ever come up with its own original idea, that's when you start to be like, oh shit, it's gone sentient, man.
Yeah, that for sure. Because I would hope that they're limited still to what's actually available out there. But I don't know.
But see, wouldn't that be part of the algorithm, though, that would be cool, is that it scours all these possibilities and then it finds the one possibility or the one thing that has not been done. I don't know how it narrows it down, but...
Sure, and how it would figure out if that would work or not.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there's probably formulas you pump into that baby that it knows how to do, I'm sure.
I think it would be worth looking into.
I mean, we were probably already there in a lot of regards.
Probably.
Like, I finally watched that Mithrigan that y'all were talking about.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're probably there.
Mm-hmm.
We probably, I'm pretty confident, have that tech that could operate that way already.
I would agree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
as I'm watching it, and she learns and said something else accordingly. I'm like, yeah, we have that.
Yeah.
we're already there. So I guess now just making it a little walking around humanoid looking robot,
And this is not to even mention all the AI bots we have in our house that we don't ever think about until they start talking because someone thought they heard their name. And you'd be like, hey, nobody's talking to you. So, that's another thing. Maybe I should be a little nicer to Alexa, because sometimes she'll pipe up and she'll be like, yes. And it was like, I wasn't talking to you. And she'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard my name. And I'm being rude about it because she just interrupted. It's like, shut up. No one's talking to you. And that's what
I didn't get it for that reason.
Yeah, I'm already the problem because I'm treating Alexa like shit.
You're already too.
Damn it.
Well, that's why I never set up that thing on my phone either, where you're like, okay, Google, or if you have, Apple, then Siri or whatever, But because even the hubs will just go off randomly. And I'm like, see, it's listening, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're listening to us. We have too many things that's got microphones, and I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. I don't like it.
Anytime you start scouring your phone and you start seeing something that you said, it always bugs me because I'm just like, motherfucker, I was not searching this, and now here's an ad for this thing that I was talking about. It's like, you want that?
Funny story. Apparently my sister-in-law told me a story of how they were talking about like getting a new hammer or something in the kitchen, and Alexa totally ordered it for them off of Amazon.
Oh shit.
And it showed up. So you have to be careful how you're articulating things, and maybe make sure Alexa's going, hey, are you sure you want to make this purchase? Otherwise you could just, have shit being sent to your home from Amazon.
Yeah.
You're not careful how you're articulating things in the kitchen.
See, I don't think I've ever ordered anything via Alexa. I don't.
Okay.
I don't trust that. I want to see it.
It sounds conspiracy theorist, I guess, but like I don't trust any of that myself. Even, I'm telling you, man, those of you with those smart home thermostats and stuff, my sister-in-law is way high up there, like her job for energy and stuff like that. So she manages like the miso plants and all this kind of stuff that most of us are on or whatever. And yeah, they could totally decide to throttle your stuff if they wanted to. Like, it's in there. It's in that tech. And that's why I'm going to stay analog for as long as I possibly can. Screw you telling me how warm my house will be.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, if you're telling me we're in an energy crisis and we have to conserve, fine. I feel like I'm already doing that because gas is stupid expensive. So we're already just running around in blankets all winter. But no, that freaks me out just knowing that they can do it. And the fact that she couldn't deny it. And I'm like, oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. Stop. This sounds cool, but letting all this tech in your home. Nope.
I would even say that, now, not to say that robots could do it better. They could, maybe, possibly, but they could maybe possibly fuck up just as much as a human. Sure. But speaking of human errors, I got to tell you about this because I felt bad about this, but I didn't know what to do. Okay? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't my fault. Absolutely not my fault. So we have been using the order grocery online thing, and then you go pick them up or whatever, because so much easier than having to go inside the store. Okay? Sure. Having to deal with that whole mess, especially when it's crowded, whatnot. As soon as I tried it, I thought, yes, I want this more because I don't have to go into the damn store. Absolutely. Right. Problem is that you have human error with the people picking your groceries.
Are probably lazy too if they can't find something. I don't know. Yeah.
I may have mentioned before where I caught them in a lie for telling me they didn't have anything, and then I go in and there it was. Well, this next time I've still been very weary. I did it again. I only had one item they said they didn't have, so I was like, fair enough. I'll let it go. Didn't bother with it. I was just like, that's fine. So get the groceries, go home, and as we start looking through, I'm just like, double check and make sure that we have everything, because I started getting paranoid because I found one bag, an entire bag full of groceries I did not order.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we started going through, and to my knowledge, we had everything that I ordered. We just gained an extra bag. So someone lost groceries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm talking like TV dinners, a thing of ice cream, all that.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That could have been someone's like comfort evening.
Right.
Had got bad news. They were just going to eat junk food in front of the TV and feel better.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't know what it was. I don't know how it wound up in ours, but it just bothered me because what was I going to do? I couldn't just drive it back down there. I didn't realize it. I don't live right down the road from the store.
Right.
And then by the time I get it back there, everything in there is going to be thawed out because it was all frozen food. Hell, the ice cream was mush. So.
Oh, because you didn't know it was there.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And I thought about this same thing like you said. I don't know what this was for somebody.
Yeah.
It could have been several meals for them. And
just to be excited about ice cream and not have it, just that feeling.
Yeah. So
I mean, I know it seems small, but like we don't know what that person's
right
was going through. You know, something that small could have been the thing that set them over the edge. Like,
right.
Where's my freaking ice cream?
So I felt terrible about it, but we just kind of stashed it in our refrigerator because I don't know what more to do.
Right.
And
I mean, did it look like a delicious TV dinner?
I mean, I wouldn't pick them up. I mean, it's those banquet TV dinners that you just, you know, simple single meals, you know. So I was like, well.
Yeah. And they probably paid for it.
Yeah.
Hopefully they got their money back.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, too, is that when they're the ones that are going to have to make the fuss. I can't do much for it, you know. And
you don't know whose it was supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah. So I go back up there, and then it's still not going to matter. They're going to have to replace the food any damn way. So 90% obvious that they're going to trash what I've got.
Sure.
So there's no point in taking it there. I'll just let it go. But I just feel bad that I wound up with somebody else's groceries. And I know it's not my fault, but it still just makes me feel bad. And I wish I could do something for that person. But again, it's Kroger's fault.
Yes. They got to pay attention to that and check it. And,
I don't know. It just it makes me not want to use that service anymore because it seems like every fucking time I use it.
Yeah.
They're just, they find something new to screw up. And I guess I should be glad that it wasn't the other way around, but still it makes me angry knowing that that could happen.
Oh, for sure. And it's like why you almost want to check before you leave.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't blame. I do the same thing if I'm going through drive-through. I'm like, do not drive away till I've tried the soda to make sure it's not, you know, out of syrup. Because I've driven away with that before where it's like, ew, all I got was the carbonation.
Yeah.
No good. Or missing an item. So you're not driving away until I've done those things.
It just seems like that the process of picking the orders and keeping them separate, I thought they had them all
down by now.
Yeah, I just thought that there was a process, like one rack, one section would be like one person's set of groceries. So that's
there might be.
I don't know. It bothers me that happened, and hopefully that person got their food and then some. Yes. For their screw up. Because I think they owe them something, honestly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's easier to, well, I don't know. I used to use Instacart when like the pandemic, you know, was in its height and we weren't allowed to go do anything, supposedly, you know. And they were pretty good to me, but every once in a while I'd be like missing my bread.
Yeah.
Or, you know, one item or something. And I reported it to Instacart. Usually they gave me my money back. So almost to the point where I probably could have been lying. And I don't think. You know, whatever. I wasn't, but I would try to text the driver and be like, maybe it's still in their car. Like that could have accidentally fallen out or whatever.
Sure.
But I couldn't get a hold of them, which is fair. If I drove for them, I wouldn't want everyone to have my number either.
Sure.
So
No, I get it.
So that's fair. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What you been playing this week?
I got addicted to the Oxygen Not Included again, but I bought the DLC. Why did I buy the DLC since I've not even beaten the base game? Well, because it was on sale for like $6, and I'm like, well, I probably will want the DLC at some point, and it's on sale. I got to cycle 202. Which is pretty good.
Is that good?
It's the furthest I've gotten. Yeah, I guess it could go indefinitely if you know, until you ran out of water or food, or if you want to just take the spaceship off or whatever. That I finally got way further than I ever did, especially on the research tree, where I was actually starting to research rocketry. Yeah. So, hey, getting somewhere, right? Finally made it to the surface of my asteroid, you know. Things are moving. Things are happening. I got my Atmos suits. We're ready, you know. The surface is brutal. Yeah. There's like meteors that keep hitting all of my things and burying them and breaking them. And I finally built a solar panel. I don't know what material I'm supposed to make it of because the surface is stupid hot. All right. Apparently with the sun, we're looking at 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 degrees on the surface here. And so my solar panel keeps breaking because of the heat. But I can't use solar without it looking at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I do? I'm just staring at the situation and I'm like, well, this is where it needs to be so I can gather the rays,
Right.
the energy. But if it's breaking instantly, I don't understand how this works. So there must be a material I'm missing, haven't thought of, overlooked to make. I don't know. Because I don't see that the game would be like, ha ha ha, we're just going to tempt you with a solar panel, but you're never going to get to use it. You know,
Sure.
It just seems dumb.
And cruel.
And cruel, because I was like, hey, I finally could maybe get some renewable energy going up, you know, in this bish. But no. So I've just left it broken right now and locked the door because they keep wanting to go up there to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, just forget about it for right now. I don't know what to do. We don't have whatever it takes for that to not break. So, or I don't know how. So I got that far. So we were about to take off. You know, I was getting to the point where I was going to start building the rocket. Like I hadn't done that yet. Like there's several pieces. And of course I got to worry about a ton of energy to get that thing up. So we were probably still a little ways away from still taking off. But then I had a lot of projects going and I didn't pay attention to where they were digging. And they broke a water thing all over. And this was just huge pocket of salt water just starts going down into my base, flooding everything. And I'm like, no, you know, and I'm losing oxygen. I couldn't find any more algae.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but I made it so far. So I saved it there and I'm like, well, we'll come back maybe because that's a lot of fixing I'd have to do. And I could go back to an earlier save, I guess.
Yeah.
I might, because it was so far. I don't want to lose it. But however, I almost feel like I compulsively restart because of that very reason. I get to a certain point, then go, oh, well, we're going to have to prepare for this. And then I can do it better. And then I garbage the whole thing and start over. I actually like that I found a Reddit for Oxygen Not Included, then I don't feel so bad. There's plenty of people like me that's a habitual restarter. And I'm like, you know what? That makes me feel better. Because why do I keep doing this to myself? Well, apparently it is an addiction with this game to just do it. And so I was like, okay,
Fair enough.
I'm not alone. That we're all going through this nonsense together. That we just, for whatever reason, want to just keep restarting the game instead of continuing with it. But yeah. That, and then of course, you know, I beat the DLC for Not for Broadcast, which was of course another lovely, fun, good time with OG Patrick Bannon, which if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. But and if not, well, you should, because it was stupid cheap and it's a great game, and I hope you got it and played it.
Yeah.
One day I'll convince you.
Okay. I'll get there eventually. I know I will.
I even gave it to you. Like, here.
I know.
Doesn't even have to be out of your pocket.
It's just right here.
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
Yep.
You know.
You're stuck.
Where I continue to make excuses for not playing games on the thing.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, I mean, oh, you don't have PC VR. Never mind. I was gonna say it's coming out of VR, but yeah.
I mean, it could wind up on PlayStation
That's
VR.
That's true. It
maybe.
could be on console.
Perhaps.
Who knows? I don't know how hard it is to get on to those platforms. I've seen some of my indie developer friends, you know, tweeting about it, and how each one's just a little bit more complicated or this, that, or the other than the other to get it approved on. So sounds like Xbox is kind of the easiest.
Okay.
From what I'm gathering, Nintendo's the hardest, and then Sony seems like it's kind of in between. But you're just gonna lose extra money, you know. So I don't know. Devs, tell me which platform. I know Steam's probably going to be the cheapest, right?
Yeah.
Or like I mean, maybe you won't make the most money. I keep forgetting Epic.
Yeah.
Epic. I mean, you'll make more money from them as a dev if more units sell on Epic, I guess, than Steam or wherever you put it.
I find it funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, we don't hear, because it used to be all the time. Epic was this thing that people were just so angry about because of all the exclusives.
Oh, we still do. A little bit.
It's just not as loud.
No, because I think all of us have just decided, well, it's there, but I'm still not going to go purchase games over there. So that's just my thing. But I saw when I was watching the Life by You premiere, or the trailer, the finally Sims competition that's coming along. They were talking about in the live stream, because I did happen to actually catch that one live, about how if you ordered on Epic, you'd get this extra scooter or something that was a pre-order bonus. And the sheer volume of people in chat going, is that only going to be sold on Epic? Wait a minute, is this only going to be on Epic? And just like freaking out was kind of hilarious that I hadn't seen in a long time. So then I go over to Steam just to see, because I, of course, heard Epic and went, please don't tell me it's only going to be on Epic. And it was there on Steam too. So I was like, phew, you just won't get the pre-order bonus, and you know what? I don't care about your scooter.
Yeah.
In a game where I can make my own stuff, you literally just said it.
Yeah, exactly.
I can make my own scooter then. So why do I need your pre-order bonus? So yeah, anyway. So the vitriol is still there.
Okay.
I think we've just moved on until it's presented with us head on. And then we're like, wait a minute, no.
Okay.
So
I just remember it used to be a bigger deal.
Oh, for sure. Now that they got a cart, maybe we've calmed down.
Perhaps.
We're like, Jesus Christ, thank you. I don't have to buy one individual game at a time and then have my bank cut me off thinking I've been hacked, because it's just purchase after purchase after purchase after.
That's what Voodoo needs to get done on their site. They don't have a cart. It's just everything, because if they did have a cart, and maybe this is good for me, is I probably would buy a lot more sometimes.
Sure.
But it's that very thing, like you say, I don't want to go through and go buy this, and then my card get flagged. So I'm just like, do I want anything or not? I'll look. If I see something, maybe. If I don't, screw it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess that's a positive.
Sure. Yeah. They're saving you from yourself inadvertently. But what have you been playing?
Well, I did where I'd said that we had beaten It Takes Two last week. We just kind of went back and did some cleanup, some mini games that we didn't find, or some little trophies that you could pop here and there. Just, doing the whole platinum thing. Luckily, Katrina was all in for it, so she indulged my trophy hunting.
Fun.
Then I went back to Chia, which I didn't get to play it as much as I wanted to, but at the same time, I have played it. I played enough of it that perhaps maybe I need to, play the game as opposed to doing what I do best, and that's just explore.
Wander.
Because they've given me objectives. There is something I have to do, but I'm just not doing it because I'm just like, but I can go here. Yeah, it's just like I see all these things that I can do, and I'm just like, but I can go here, and then I go search over here, and then find that thing, and then I'm going to go here and find that, and I can't help it.
Hey, you do you.
Yeah.
It's your single player game. You play it how you want.
Well, that's what I'm doing at this point, and I'm thinking that I'll probably be doing some backtracking, because I did come across a new element for the actual part of the story that I did move forward. Because at some point I was like, okay, well, let me go to this village and do this thing and meet this guy. And of course they sent me on a quest to gather some clay. So I did that. And this is another thing I love about this game, is that sometimes even when you think you are in a situation you can't quite do, because one of the biggest issues that I've had is I would always do these little games. There'd be a slingshot game or a diving game or something like that, and you get these trophies. Well, I finally found out what the trophies are for. There's a machine.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like a claw machine in the main city that you first come to, and then you pop the trophy in there, and then you can use the claw machine to grab little balls, and then that becomes new items, new things that you can use and utilize.
But useful things for you?
Useful is a relative term. Just more cosmetic. So it's kind of fun, kind of little things like that.
If you like that, then sure.
I had a bag full of trophies. Didn't know what to do with them. Like I said, I was just stashing them because I don't know what to do with this. And then I finally found that. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to pump it in here, and I'm going to play the hell out of this game until I get all the things out of there. And so before I did that, I had a bag full of trophies. And the guy said, hey, go get me this ball of clay that's sitting over in the swamp. And I thought, that'll be easy. So I did. And I realized I didn't have any way to stick it in my bag. And this was in a swamp area that was across the river or creek or a nice gap of water between land that if I was to walk into, I'm going to sink.
Sink, yeah.
So therefore, the thing that I have in my hand is going to be dropped.
Oh, really?
So I
think you could hold it and float. Just saying.
What? Yeah, I was trying to think of all these other ways. I was like, how am I going to get over here? And then
Can you throw it?
Well, see, that's part of it. Just thinking of little things like that. And I thought, there's got to be a way to do this. I know my bag is full. Maybe I could just go drop one off. And then I forget the most important thing. I can soul jump into that ball of clay.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can just shoot myself across and no harm, no foul. I've still got the clay.
Fun.
And I can pick it right back up and then just go about my business.
It's built into the game.
Yep. So I had to think about that for a minute because it wasn't your initial thought for a game like that. You're like, oh man, I got to figure this out. It's like, no, it's there. The answer's right there. Just jump into it and go along. Simple.
Duh.
Yeah.
Hello.
So having to come to those realizations was just like, man, yes, I can do this. I can do this thing.
It's got to be fun, though.
It is. It's so fun. And then they threw in another challenge. I don't know if I mentioned this last week because I don't think I'd found it yet. But they're part of that village quest or whatever is the chief showed me or taught me this how to build these. I don't really know what you'd call them. They look like, I don't know how to call it. It's not a tiki statue or anything like that, but it's made of wood, and it's a very particular type of face on the wood that you're carving out. Now, the idea is that there are all these doors that you can find that will open if you present it with a face that's on the door. So you have to carve it a specific way, and then you take that to the door, and then that opens up. And inside is an extra fruit, which will grow your soul meter, which allows you to possess items and animals. But this will extend it to a longer period. And what they did with this was very clever because I thought each door would lead me to kind of the same trial, so to speak. They change it every time, so you don't know what you're getting. So one I went into, and it said there were these little things floating around, like zipping around. They said, just shoot down 17 of them. And I was like, okay. And at first it was easy until I lost track of the last two. And I was like, where the shit are these things? They have to be here. It's only a small little area. Where are they? And I just kept bouncing around until I found them. Then the next one was like a Marble Madness type maze. So I had to roll through these little narrow pathways and get on the platforms and then hop over here and do all that there. So that one gave me severe anxiety because I don't like that, balancing on a narrow platform kind of thing.
Yeah, depending on how they make you balance, it can be frustrating. Yeah.
Luckily, the controls here are good that I never felt like, oh my God, I'm slipping. So there was that. There was another that something was like shooting beams at you, and you pretty much had to run the gauntlet to try and get to the other end. And then there's others that were just as simple as just like, hey, just go over there and get it. And so I mean,
pick it up.
Yeah. So that alone makes the game even more intriguing to me because they're not making you do the same thing over and over and over. It's just like, here's something new for you. And changes up the gameplay and doesn't make it stale. So such a great game.
Fun.
I highly recommend it.
I have to look into it. You said that game was PlayStation?
PlayStation. I don't think it's on another platform. I think this is an exclusive, which again would explain why they gave it up on PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess. But I did want to correct something. I feel like I said something incorrect about the game last week, saying that it was based on African cultures. I feel like that's what came out of my mouth. It's actually New Caledonia, which is kind of off the coast of Australia and New Zealand, kind of in the South Pacific.
Okay.
So that kind of culture, the Aborigine tribes, I guess, something to that effect. And New Caledonia, I honestly feel like is more of a tourist destination now than
maybe so
back then. But anyway, I just wanted to correct that.
Because, yeah, no, fair.
I was looking at it, and I guess somewhere I connected the wrong dots, and then the more I'd played it, I was like, well, this isn't right. Something about this is off. And it's even funny, too, because when I was looking at the map, because I was trying to remember, I know I've heard of New Caledonia, but, I don't go looking at it every day.
Sure, yeah.
So
yeah, no.
I decided to look it up on a map, and I was like, okay, well, where exactly? And then I spotted it, and the map that you see in the game is, that's pretty much what you're looking at. So I was like, okay, that's pretty clever. I think where New Caledonia is one island, they kind of split it right in the middle. So in the game, it's two separate islands, but you can see clearly it's like, oh, okay, so it's kind of the same layout.
They based it off of that.
So I thought that was kind of neat.
Fun.
But
yeah.
Anyway, still, go play Chia if you can. If not, then, well, sucks to be you, I guess.
Then be sad, I guess, that you can't. I don't know. That sounds rude.
What you got for us in news?
We have some news this week. Well, we may as well just get the biggest one over with that we've all been kind of chatting about this week. I guess the end of an era.
Yep.
E3 has officially packed it in. I mean, we started off earlier in the week. Ubisoft backed out. You're like, okay, I'm not sure who's left then. We already knew Microsoft wasn't and Sony wasn't. Nintendo's been doing their own thing for a little bit now. And then Ubisoft, all right. Well, then just like dominoes, they went. The rest of them started pulling out of it. And the show organizers, ReedPop, made the announcement that it was no longer taking place in June, as, they were hoping to revive the first time having the convention, since the Rona. Since all of that had closed, lots of big conventions for a few years. And that they said that they're going to go back alongside with the ESA to just kind of reevaluate the future of E3.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you kind of have to at this point. Maybe publishers are just ready to do their own thing in their own time. And with tech these days, it's way more possible and easier and economical to do so than it used to be. And I mean, I get that it was no longer what it used to be from back in the day, when it was just industry professionals. It was just something we could kind of watch from afar, before consumers were actually allowed to just go in on the show floor. Because I remember E3 used to just be, you watched it, but unless you were an industry professional, you were not at the convention, So I can remember getting excited like 90s and early 2000s and stuff. It was our Christmas.
Sure.
So I have a little nostalgia for it, but it's a little sad that it's ending. Again, I recognize that it's not what it used to be.
Sure.
I do recognize that it morphed, but I don't know. It was just kind of sad for me to see it go, regardless of how we feel about it now.
Well, it's kind of, as you said, they started allowing people to show up on the show floor that were not industry professionals. So I think that's probably what really started the decline, because it was no longer an isolated thing for industry professionals that we almost got to be like on the outside looking in going, oh my God, look at it. Oh my God, I can't wait. And they're just like, you can't touch it yet. So they took away that element that made it special that we all got excited for. And as you said, with the tech being where it is now, why would any company go to this show, probably pay whatever exorbitant amount of money that they have to put in a booth when they can just do it themselves? They know gamers just want to see trailers. So why, why do that?
Yeah, because I mean, it is more economical to do your own thing, live stream an event, or I mean, I still think there's something special about being able to go to, and again,
Sure.
this is E3, not necessarily just a gaming convention, which is what I was thinking maybe other kinds of tech would be keeping it alive. We just wouldn't see a lot of the gaming side of it. I mean, it was never just a gamers thing to my understanding, electronics expo, entertainment expo. But, I don't know.
No.
I mean, I think just the way tech is today, the way people are consuming things, the way things are just being consumed at a faster pace, money, I think we're moving away from, these large in-person things, which is kind of sad. I mean, I hope PAX will still be a thing and so you can still go to gaming conventions, but
I think PAX would still maintain, because for me, I guess it would be in similar fashion, you're still allowing gamers to come and try out new games. You're getting to see or allow indie developers to come and showcase what they're doing. Then we get to try them out. And I mean, we've seen how fruitful that is. I mean, we've met some really interesting people at cons and expos and hoping
games I probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Right. I mean, I know that there are several games that I remember seeing at one of those cons and wanting to, still waiting for that game. It took how long it took for Evergate to come out before we actually got to have it in our hands and play it on our consoles.
But it was an indie team. They didn't give up, man, and they put out a high quality game for sure.
So, I feel like PAX could stick around because there's a difference in the way they present themselves and what it is, or at least the way I look at it. It's not just like, hey, look at the new games. It's like, oh, hey, look at the new games and come try them out. Get to play.
Yeah. Because I spend my whole time in the indie section.
Yeah.
AAA will find its way to me if I really want it. So I never spent any time in the AAA space at PAX is. I always just went straight to the indie corners and would find stuff to do for days.
Yeah. And
I'd be running into new games every day.
And I mean, not only that, but I mean, when you're talking about where do you find most people anyway? At the AAA game booths. And then you've got those long lines. It's not like you said. If it's big enough and it's important enough, it'll come to you in AAA.
It'll find me. They've got the money to promote it to get to my eyeballs.
It's always fun to find those indie gems, though. At least I think so. We need to go back to a PAX.
We really do. I think this year I was kind of okay with just seeing if everything was going to go off as intended, and then we'll see for the future. But regardless, ESA president and CEO Stanley Pierre-Louis, I hope I said that right, had an interview and explained what he thought went wrong. He said marketing needs have evolved. We've kind of decided that was probably a case. Things that haven't been able to get back on track since the pandemic. Some developers were saying they didn't really have anything of note to show off in time for a large convention. Some were just saying that, they haven't been able to get back on a right timeline since the pandemic. Some just don't have the money since the pandemic, so people are just not wanting to invest in large events and trying to balance in-person versus digital. And I mean, just money.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of money that you spend on these booths and stuff alone, it's insane. I've even heard like how much the indie spaces have to pay at like PAXs and stuff. And it's hard. It's rough. It's super expensive. They're just going to go back, it sounds like, and reevaluate. They had brought in ReedPop because of how successful they had done other large conventions in the past. Although there was some murmurings that I had been seeing over the last several months also about people not being thrilled with ReedPop doing it. And it seemed like they were doing things successfully. So there must be some other kind of internal stuff there, because as Stanley was still going on in the interview, was talking about how they were trying to get them so hard to keep interacting with all of the clients, I guess, or whatever you would say, the people that were coming to show off their stuff, to try to meet all of the needs and the demands. And maybe they just weren't also. And that coupled with it all. So keep an eye on it. They're not saying never, but it probably won't be in the way that we've seen it before.
Gotcha. Well,
it's probably going to have to evolve to either what today's day and age is, or call it, maybe that's just the end of an era. And
Perhaps.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I guess you still have Summer Games Fest regardless of how you feel about Jeff Keighley. I know he's very hit or miss with people, but we still get to see some great games. And it seems like they're putting on a good show, and I guess he wins this round because he kind of wanted to do his own thing because he was kind of upset with how E3 was going. And this is before pandemic, that he started this.
True.
So I feel like there was probably some stuff going on for a while prior to like Reed Pop coming in and all that, but I don't know. So what do you think, siblings? Are you sad? Are you happy? Did you not care either way because you were still going to get to see games, sitting at home on our PC, regardless of where they put it to us? But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Rip E3.
Boo.
Anyway, well, I thought this was interesting, and we were kind of talking about it already. Well, not kind of, we were. AI, interesting stuff. People have been kind of murmuring about its uses in all of our things here as of late, and AI art has been a topic that's been getting talked a lot about in this industry. Seems like big players are banning the use of AI art from video games. Or from the video game industry, or like I said, the heavy hitters are the ones getting on board. But according to video games director artist Trent Kaniuga, Kaniuga, however you would say that.
Okay.
Trent, sir, who says, that their clients are Blizzard, Capcom, Epic, reporting that many of these video game companies are rewriting contracts to demand no AI art be used. The biggest issue, of course, and I'm sure we're all sitting there screaming it at, whatever you're listening to it, copyrights. We can't be sure any of this stuff is not already owned by someone else, because as you know, if anybody's been playing with those AI art things, it's just kind of scouring the internet for art and morphing things together into its own thing, right? Some people have been finding their own trademark. What do you call the little marks that they'll put on it? Their signatures and stuff. I know there's a legit word for it that's escaping my mind right now. But they found morphed versions of that in these pictures, which would lead you to believe that was my art that was stolen. That was my mark, my thing.
I'm so glad we got there together.
We totally did it, guys. Nailed it. This is where you can get your news for sure, articulated well, and you'll understand everything when you leave. But of course, if the company can't be sure that the art is original or their own, you could be facing insane amounts of trouble down the line, lots of lawsuits, and rightfully so if you're taking, other people's stuff. Apparently under U.S. law, though, I was reading this because I was like, how would this actually happen, if you were to use it and someone were to catch it? So they're saying under U.S. law, a video game studio would not be able to copyright and protect AI art. Again, if you're stealing from everywhere else, I guess, but they consider text to image art akin to instructions for a commissioned artist. So going on to say an artist may modify material originally created by AI technology to such a degree that the modifications meet the standard for copyright protection. So as Stephen kind of gave us an example accidentally at the beginning, how he said, hey, write me a script, and then I'm just going to kind of edit it to my own voice. That would be allowed, is what it's sounding like.
See? Yeah. That sounds good, though. That would, for me, it sounded like the legit thing to do if you're going to use it for something like that.
I feel humans will abuse that.
Yeah, probably.
For sure. But I mean, so is it banned in U.S. law? I feel like they gave you a really good loophole there. And especially for, Congress who doesn't understand technology at all. I mean, we still have laws from the 90s governing our... Anyway, I find it interesting, and I kind of like that because honestly, I understand this stuff is cool and it's neat. I'm just coming from a biased perspective of I don't like how we're just kind of erasing the human element for everything, because Because, I mean, Ubisoft's already creating their own called Ghostwriter to just randomly write NPC dialogue for them in games and stuff, you know? So, I don't know. What do you think? I like the fact that it would be getting banned. If they actually go through with it and everything.
Well, I mean, I guess it's like the TikTok scenario, you know, in some aspects where everything's kind of sitting in this state of limbo of not really knowing what they're going to do because people have their own ideas of what these things are. And I see benefits with the AI. So banning it seems excessive, but...
okay, go ahead. No.
But I understand concerns. I understand the concerns of copyright, because it is. I mean, if that's all it can do, if that's all the AI can do is just take from the internet...
already created.
And cobble together something that it's like, well, this is what you kind of wanted, right? If you got to steal it, then don't do it. So I get that. I don't know. I feel like we're jumping to a very extreme reaction. You're like, ban it. Just ease up for a second.
I guess in this context, I'm 100% okay with it.
Yeah.
I think, I find it much more, hire the human, get a real original art that human makes, and then you own that art,
Right.
Instead of stealing from other hardworking people. I in this context, I don't mind it being banned outright.
Sure.
For this reason.
And that's understandable. Sure.
In this context.
Yeah. I guess I feel like that sets a precedent, and then they can just kind of expand upon that like they do everything. Everything is vague to a point where...
Oh, you give them a loophole and humans will find a way to abuse it, and they absolutely will, unfortunately.
And have.
And will continue to do so. So I don't know. I guess we'll just see moving forward here. So it sounds like at least we have a few heavy hitters in the industry that's rewriting contracts to ensure that is not happening. So artists, if you do it on your own, you probably just got yourself into some legal trouble here, because if they're writing the contract saying you can't do that and you do it anyway, just that you don't have the money to fight them. I'm just going to put that out there. All right. So yeah, we'll see moving forward how that ends up. But in that context, I'm 100% okay with it, honestly. Yeah. Boy, have you been hearing about the Last of Us PC port?
Well, yeah, I kind of felt like I read something yesterday that wasn't going over too well.
It's not going so hot at all, and it's so sad, and it breaks my heart, and it was delayed for the love of God. So everybody who was all excited about the PC port finally probably never played the game. We're waiting to play the game. Whatever the case may be, it's going to be on PC. I can mod it. It's going to look great because I have all my shaders and my blah, blah, blah. Well, if you played it for about a day, you probably already ran into a bad time. So there was about 10,000 reviews bombing it on the port on Steam within a day. Most of the reports completely legit though. Frequent crashes, frame rate issues. Some people were saying up to 2 hours for the shaders to load on startup.
Wow.
Right? Up to 2 hours. I don't care what kind of PC you have. That just seems excessively long.
Yeah.
So I'm reading that, and of course, I'm just adding this because it's the way of Steam and all this kind of stuff. Steam Deck reportedly also just as garbo of a port. I not surprised, because I mean we're looking at two basically PCs that and I get that PCs are harder to build for, right? You don't have a consistent inside. That's why consoles, I think, are just easier for developers. You've got, if it runs on the one I've got, it'll run on everyone's.
Right.
Everyone could build their own PC and have different insides, and you're not going to know which thing conflicts with which. But this seems like a huge issue.
Yeah.
I can defend you to a degree. But they heard the concerns, apparently. And of course, I do want to point out that some people have been playing with 0 issues. Okay, there was enough people that were in there were like, yeah, the shaders still take a really long time to load, but past that part, I had a good time. I didn't have the crashes. I didn't have any of that. So, but they've already done like several patches now, and I'm not sure. Like this morning, I was looking to see like, did they do a better patch that we're good to go? And it's better. It doesn't look amazing. So if you were wanting to buy it, wait. I'd say wait quite a while, maybe 6 months or so. And maybe they'll get it fixed long before that. But it's just such a shame that I'm hearing people's first experiences with this lovely game is so garbage, you know?
Yeah.
But some of the glitches were hilarious. I'm hoping you guys saw this because I want to mention a couple and some more that I saw this morning that I was just like, it's getting memed so hard and it's hilarious for it. T-posing, of course, out of Tess. We're very used to seeing T-posing as a glitch in most PC games, it seems like, anymore if you're going to have a glitchy game. And then there was one scene that they were showing that it had Marlena? Why? Oh, what's her name?
Marlene,
thank you. Marlene, Ellie, Joel, Tess. There is a scene where all 4 of them are talking. And as it looks at Tess, Marlene and Ellie were talking, looks fine. Cuts to Joel and Tess, looks fine. When you come back to Ellie and Marlene, they look like they were drenched, just came out of a river. Like water dripping off of them. They look completely soaked. You go back to Joel and Tess, they look completely soaked. Water. No idea how you get that kind of bug.
Yeah, it's very specific.
They were dripping water like they had just like been out of a pool, came just out of a lake. It's look it up. It's hilarious. I don't even know how you get a glitch like that. So yeah, the there was another one too that I was watching this morning. Like sometimes they look like neon. The biggest one I'm seeing is their hair, like even his facial hair, head hair looks kind of like crayons were broken up and put on there. Like the graphic is so bad. And then of course, you know, the internet gonna internet and put that hair over Pedro Pascal and then put Ellie's hair over, you know, the one who played Ellie at HBO's Last of Us. So that was kind of hilarious to me to watch, like them just putting the crayon hair on the actors and playing the scenes out.
I see. I think I see what you're talking about. The crayon face, Joel.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Like, what happened, guys?
I don't know.
What happened? I am so sad about this. But they put out a few patches, so we'll see, I guess, in the next couple of weeks if they'll get it completely fixed. But if you were one of the ones who were excited for it, I'm going to just suggest to wait a bit and keep an eye on how well they keep it up, because I've seen a lot of people refunding it too until it gets completely fixed, which, you know what? Fair. You know, they probably paid $70 for this, and this is what it's going to look like. I hope you're seeing the one where they're dripping wet.
I saw the picture. I'm seeing this. Someone's put together a compilation. One was Ellie during that scene that I think you were talking about, where it was like Tess and Joel and everything were talking. You had Ellie doing a handstand off in the background, spinning around.
Yes. There was even one scene where they were riding off on a motorcycle together, Joel and Ellie. Ellie's legs were on the motorcycle, but she was completely stretched in a huge arc.
Yeah.
Coming off the back of the motorcycle.
I saw it. Tommy's outside the truck.
Yeah, it's... You
Wow.
guys, I'm beside myself, Naughty Dog. I am beside... What? You had such an opportunity here because of the show. Because, you know, like... It was so gift wrapped to you to have this be such an amazing PC port launch that what?
Yeah, this is.
I'm
like
so
you said,
disappointed.
It's such a specific glitch. Like what happened that they just get wet all of a sudden?
That's what was there swimming? I can't even remember if there was swimming in the game. Was there swimming ever?
Yeah, I think there's a bit where you have, I don't know if you swim or not, but you have to climb over. I don't remember swimming though. No. Huh.
Like, I'm trying to think of why they would have been wet in the game ever.
And they are dripping.
Like, I just can't even understand it. Eddie,
he's dripping so much. Like, what?
It's so much water coming off there.
What is going on? And then now it's going like this. It's spraying off of them.
It's like
magnets?
I don't get it. It's like their inside of their body is just pushing water out, and
wow. Okay.
I've never seen that kind of bug. Like some of these other ones I'm seeing, 100%. I've seen those glitches, but that one I can't. Developers, if you're listening, how does that bug happen? I really need to hear that one because that one was just kept staring at it. I watched that one probably more times than I should have because I just was trying to make it make sense. But yeah, oopsies.
Oops.
So wait. If you were one of the ones completely waiting for it to come out on PC, I understand, and I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'm sorry. I know I didn't do it, but anyway, actively patching it. There's been several patches already. Keep your eye on it, I guess, for when it's like, hey, this is how it's supposed to run now, and then maybe throw your money at it if you were one of the ones waiting. But oofed. Okay, so this one, I have been kind of looking at this story for a couple of weeks, but it kind of took another interesting turn that I thought having this conversation with you would be interesting because at the end, I kind of question I'd like to pose here, but I don't know if you've been hearing the hullabaloo around the game Dark and Darker. Like I said, I've been following this loosely over the last several weeks, but if you're not aware, Iron Mace, who is a dev team out of Korea, they're a small group of ex-employees from the major publisher Nexon. And Iron Mace has been accused by Nexon of stealing their game, saying Iron Mace illegally used codes and concepts from Nexon's canceled game, which was, at the time labeled P3, so the working title, which resulted in a raid on Iron Mace's studios searching for the servers and everything. Now, keep in mind, Korean law, much different than ours. All right. So Iron Mace has been fighting back, claiming that they have evidence that Dark and Darker was their own from scratch creation and used assets from Unreal's engine library. So we didn't steal anything from you. We used assets off the library. So as I'm reading this initially, I'm like, this kind of sounds justified. If they didn't take any of your assets, and you weren't going to do the game anyway, because reportedly Nexon canceled P3 and moved on to a game working title P7. So P3 was never apparently going to get made. They decided to scrap it.
Okay. So
now, just a day or so ago, an admin in the Iron Mace Discord published a letter about the legal troubles, the small team, big publishing company, going on to say about the stress it was causing the team, detailing what they're saying is an attempt from a large corporation trying to bully the small guy out, corp gonna corp, as I'm always gonna say. Then posted a GoFundMe link to raise money for the legal fees and slow them down to continue developing the game or slow the process down. Like, hold up, give us some money, maybe we can get this done. But the GoFundMe link got deleted, put back up, got deleted. So this is where it was getting a little interesting, where I was like, what's going on here? So this was apparently done without Iron Mace knowing that this admin on the Discord posted this GoFundMe link. They're saying they had no idea this was taking place. So another admin deleted it because they wanted to verify its validity before, people in the Discord started donating to it. But it was only up for maybe an hour and it raised $46,000. People love this game. They're very, very much in Iron Mace's corner because this game is just, they love it. I've heard really, really good things about it for that genre that people they've been clamoring for something like this and they did it well.
Okay.
But it's been deleted again. So as far as I can find right now, that link's no longer up or live. But I was just impressed for the size of team that less than an hour, how much it had raised.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's how much the gamers want to keep this game going so that they can play it. So from what I could gather, this happened like a few years back where the publisher Nexon was prototyping a bunch of games.
Right.
So as I was saying, their code naming conventions, there was PS, P1, P2, P3, so on. And then P3 was the Dark and Darker style game is what we're finding out. So Nexon moves on to P7, leaving some of those working on P3 unhappy with that decision, moved on to form their own studio, Iron Mace, to make their own game, Dark and Darker. Now, Nexon says that was their idea, their assets, their code. Iron Mace's CEO, Park Terrence, Swinghaw, I'm sorry, I can't say these names right. We're going to call you Park. Says their code was built from scratch. And as I said earlier, used assets from Unreal's library. Admitting that there's similarities between P3 and Darker, but defending it, saying it was their original pitch, their design, and build from the start. So they pitched it to Nexon. Nexon wanted to start it, but then moved on to P7, and then Iron Mace left to make the game. So I think there's like two things we could really have a discussion from here, because morally, legally, I feel there's a lot in here, because to me, it's kind of an interesting discussion on who owns an idea, right? So let's say that they left and rebuilt this game, and this is me spitballing. I don't know for sure this is what they did, you know, that they took all of these things. Now, if they were like, I pitched it, this was my idea, you were just going to give us money for it, and then you scrapped it, morally, ethically, legally, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Sure.
There's a lot. Let's say that they left, rebuilt everything for themselves, and they didn't use any of the things that they built under Nexon's roof. Does that count as Nexon's?
Nah. In my book, no. If there was not an ounce of any of their assets, anything that was technically theirs, no. But as you said, the idea, I don't feel like you can copyright an idea. How many games have we seen that are similar, with new packaging or new?
How many shooters have you seen?
Dark Souls-esque games. Yeah, all this stuff. So that's tricky. And even if it's, say, just starting from an idea standpoint, there are times that I have seen, like I've had ideas for stories or whatever, and I haven't done anything with them. It's just something I jotted down. I'm like, that would be great. I'm going to come back to that. And then sometime later, I see a very similar, if not almost exact idea on a movie. I didn't talk to those people. Yeah. We've had no interactions, but we had the same idea. So who's at fault? If I had that idea 10 years ago and then they suddenly bring it to fruition in whatever project they actually got made, I can't sue them for that. You know, I just had an idea that I jotted down. I thought I'll get back to it later. But I had the idea first, possibly.
Sure.
But
I see where the gray area is here, though, because and again, I'm just going to put this out there. You know, probably everyone already, how much I hate corporations. Nobody gets that rich, honestly, so screw them all. So even when they're right, I want them to be wrong. Yeah. So I have that bias I'm going to put out there right away. But legally, I could see that they're not going to win this. Simply because if they were making it under Nexon's roof, Nexon gave you the money to publish these things. And even if you rebuilt the engine, who's to say you didn't just rebuild the same one? Who's to say, like, these are all my spitballing guesses here, right? Legally, I could see that they're not going to make it anywhere with this, honestly. If they're too similar, you admitted you were there and redid it. Maybe you were using Unreal's assets when you were under Nexon's roof. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been the same thing. Now, ethically, I think Nexon should just go bite it, because you were throwing the idea away. So you did not care until someone else was making it and put it out there. So I know that's not what's going to matter in the long run, but from my own personal view of it, I feel like you're just kind of being garbage going after a smaller guy for a game you weren't planning on making.
Well, think about it like restaurants that throw away tons of fucking food versus giving it to homeless people or, food shelters or anything like that. They're just like, nah, we're going to throw it in the garbage.
And believe it or not, there's laws about that. I've worked in plenty of restaurants. There's laws about that because of how like temperatures and stuff from one place to the next and the blah, blah, blah. Like they almost make it too hard to just give it away to people who need it.
But it's ridiculous because it's food.
Oh,
it's
totally.
consumable and they can heat it up. Or if you're taking it to a food shelter, I'm sure they could put it in the oven or whatever and heat it up for these people. I'm sure they would love it.
One
but
would think.
You would just rather throw it away than
because of the legalities of it all. That's what's funny to me about it. Legalese makes some things, like charitable things, almost impossible.
I don't see how
responsible if they're sick.
I don't see how a homeless person is going to give a damn. That's going to be the farthest thing from their mind. They're getting a meal.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm with
wrong.
you there.
I don't know.
I'm with you there, but I'm just letting you know why a lot of them don't. And if it costs them more money and it's a large corporate chain, they're not going to give a shit anyway. It's cheaper to throw it away, which is what's sad about it, but it is the truth.
Makes me angry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, and that's fair. I agree with you. So, I mean, that was kind of my conversation that I was wanting to have. Like, can you own the idea? Now, I'm sure NDAs were signed.
Sure.
I'm sure the T's were crossed, the I's were dotted. And so the more that I was kind of listening to it last night from different outlets that were kind of, that were reporting on it. I also watched Devin Nash because he had a really good breakdown of like why it's so much different for the Korean law as what we're used to seeing here in the States. So it's just like a slippery slope with what, keep people from using big publishers to get the ball rolling, take off, and do it on their own. So I kind of see that. If we're allowing that, what would stop smaller teams from using big publisher money, quit, go finish their idea on their own and do it? So I understand that slope.
Right.
But it still sucks that you were just going to throw that idea away. So it's...
That to me is where it ends as far as I'm concerned. I hope... Maybe a judge will agree if they have to go that far. Because
I'm sure there's all sorts of contracts.
I'm sure. Because I'm like you. If you're going to throw it away, what does it matter? You weren't using it. And all it is because you thought it wasn't good enough. But now that there's possibility that it could be making money, it's like, whoa. That's my money. It's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Had we not drugged this out of the garbage, it wouldn't be making any money.
Right.
So, fuck you.
Uh-huh. It's if I'm not going to make the money, no one is situation, I mean, I don't know. They had, and see, this was kind of the thing where I was going back and forth with Iron Mace. Like, was it legit or not? Because, I mean, they had investors like Epic, 10-cent money. And then rightly complained about how Nexon was pay to win and, like what I would say was rightfully talking about Nexon, but then you were going to take Epic and 10 cents money, which is like, I mean, is there a big difference? I don't know. I'm not as familiar with Nexon as I am with Epic and 10 cents. So they could be just as bad or worse. I don't know. But they did come out saying that they were tired of working for a company like that. Fair. I respect that, But if you were just going to take some other pay to win money hungry, then it's kind of like publicly facing that doesn't have a good look, even though I hate corporations again. So I feel you were right by calling Nex on that, nobody makes that kind of money. Honestly, I'm sorry, you just don't. There's always been people who got screwed for that kind of money to go into someone's pocket. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of nuance here. I think there's a lot of good conversation that could be had. But in the end, I think they're not going to win this just because, again, I could kind of see the reasoning behind them just leaving the studio and making essentially probably the same game that was going to be made there. Legally, I get it.
Yeah.
That's it. As far as my mind goes legally, I understand and why you wouldn't want to open that door up. And again, with Korean law, it's so much different. I mean, they raided their house, their studio, for crying out loud, you know, like over game assets. So it's much different. Much different. I mean, that could have happened here, I guess, too. With the way we like to do that. So I don't know. To me, I have those both sides. I have the ethically, I think it's wrong. Let them make the game that you weren't going to make anyway.
Yeah.
But legally, I totally get why you can't allow this sort of thing to kind of take off. But again, I don't care about large corporations' money. So sorry that you won't get much sympathy out of me, even if it is illegal.
Sure.
I don't care if somebody spends your money. Anywho, I don't know. Any more thoughts about that?
No, I'm curious to kind of keep an eye on it for now because I don't know. I feel like there are good arguments on each side for different reasons, and that's why it's kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I did spend, I think, a good amount of time yesterday trying to listen to both sides of the argument because, like, I found some content creators that were arguing both. So it was interesting to hear. And that's why by the end of it, I was more confused on who would legitimately have been in the right in the first place. Like, I don't know any of these people. Iron Mace could be garbage people for all I know. I don't know. You know, I just want to be on the small guy side because that's just, you know, where my heart wants to go. But I could be backing garbage people. I'm not backing anyone to say anything. Like, I'm not playing the game. It was just the situation was interesting to me. So I wanted to kind of have that conversation with you about the idea. Who gets that? Other thing, though, and I wanted to hear your opinion about this as being a fan of the series, but we got a longer look at Tears of the Kingdom, a gameplay trailer demonstration. And I was interested to hear your thoughts because, you know me, I kind of tapped out after the original Zelda. Like, and then we're talking Nintendo, like OG Nintendo days. However, the differences I thought were pretty interesting. And then from somebody who's played them, you know, the new abilities that they were showing off, I thought was cool. Like recall, which was a rewind ability, as he was saying. So the examples they were giving was going up to the Sky Islands and how would I get there? And you'd see, I guess it was a rock, big boulder that was just falling to the ground. And Link gets on it and then does the recall. And then it floats him up to the Sky Islands. Fuse, which seemed like they were saying was a new one where if you want to just beat the dude with a stick, bahaha, you could make the stick have a rock on the end. And it would be better, which was their fuse ability. It looked kind of neat, kind of give you more ways to think about how to makeshift your own weapons, I guess. And then the eyeball, which is it's totally for someone like me when you're like, hey, I can't aim. This thing is constantly moving in flight and I'm never going to kill it. Well, you can collect these eyeballs that basically just, you could shoot it in the general direction and it'll hit the thing. And I'm like, yes, please. Okay. I need that because I suck at shooting in most games. I can get there, but it takes a while. And it looks like a little varied up with the way you do combat. There was Ultra Hand, which was a new ability to build things and detach them. Some more puzzle elements that'll make it more interesting. Ascend looked pretty cool. Like, I would abuse it probably. But because I mean, why would I climb anywhere then?
Right.
With Ascend, I mean, I would just go into somewhere with a roof and da-da, I'm on top. So why would I ever climb?
Yeah, see, that would just ruin me on.
I would abuse it so hard.
Trying to explore because I would just be exploring everywhere. You're not going to stop me from exploring.
I mean, I guess unless there's no entrance to said mountain, otherwise, that's all I would be doing. So for me, it looked kind of the same as far as design, open world elements and stuff as Breath of the Wild. But what are your thoughts? Did you watch this? You're a fan.
Well, I remember it came out, but I didn't watch it. So I'm kind of glancing over it right now. So that's on me for not actually looking into it because I wanted to come back around to it, and I guess the day it came out was just not a good day for me to watch videos, and I forgot about it. But yeah, from everything that I saw initially, the graphical capabilities, there's nothing about the game that's making me go, oh my god, look at it, it's above and beyond the Breath of the Wild in so many ways. It looks the same. And that's not a slight. I felt like Breath of the Wild looked just fine. The features you're talking about, it will definitely change a lot of the gameplay. And I'm just even looking at this, like he just got knocked off of a platform in the sky and dude is like falling.
Yeah, and you can float.
And
you can just glide.
So we're talking like we're not just exploring all of Hyrule from the bottom, but from the top. It's way too big. And that's from someone who likes to explore. It's just like, Jesus Christ, man, that's a lot.
Definitely looks like a much more for you to go through, because not only Hyrule, but yeah, all of these sky islands, I think is what they were calling them, explore. That
just begs the question, how is this system able to pull this off? You know?
Nintendo and creativity, though, I feel like they always win when it comes to the creative portions of things. Always win in my book. I mean, I would imagine like engine capabilities. They're using their own, I would imagine. And it's not like Unreal or something like that. So I don't know.
It's impressive.
Tech is cool these days. You can just do a lot with a little anymore, and it's pretty good.
Now, I don't know if this has been explained yet or not, so I'm curious if anyone who has an answer to this, is this within the same timeline as the last game, or have we jumped ahead?
I thought it was a direct like continuation.
Because
if I remember
normally,
what he said in the beginning, but maybe
because normally if it maintains some graphical identity similar to the last game, it's almost like a guaranteed sequel or direct connection.
Yeah.
Whereas if they change up the graphical style, the gameplay, or something like that, it's like, oh no, this takes place over here at this time and what have you. So yeah, I would assume sequel, same time, but his outfit looks just
maybe he finally got a new threads.
I mean, he just looks like he came out of
Elf River.
Greek
Is he
times
soaking wet
or something, because he's got the sandals, the old
little chill
Roman sandals, I guess. I don't know.
It's just warm out. Anyway, we'll see. May 12th, you can play the game, and since you missed it, you might have saw at the end, or maybe seen since then, there's a Legend of Zelda Switch that you could get on April 28th. And I kind of dig the colors, and the carrying case was pretty sweet. So I thought it was a fun looking Switch.
See, I would love to get that for myself personally, because I had a 3DS that was a limited edition Zelda Switch. And it was when, what was that game that came out? It's the one where you turn into, it's kind of like a Link to the Past, but then they added that element where you could go into the walls and turn into a painting. Fuck, what was the name of that game? Somebody's shouting it right now. And
there probably are going, damn it, Steven.
Anyway, that game, I got that game with that 3DS, and then I lost the 3DS.
Aw.
So
I
look at that, and I'm just afraid it'll happen again. Not that I'll take the Switch anywhere, but I don't know. It's just the fear.
Yes, and it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of just segued beautifully into my next little quickie, which is all I had. Dolphin Emulator is coming to Steam. I think this is lovely. If you don't know Dolphin, it's a GameCube and Wii emulator. It's an early access, supposed to come to us 2023, so later this year. It promises to let us play Zelda Wind Waker, Super Mario Galaxy with improved graphics, performance. I can already hear Nintendo's lawyers buzzing.
Yeah.
It's open source, free to download, supports 4K displays and modern controllers. Online multiplayer also possible if that's your thing. Supports mods, custom levels, save states. They would like to point out, as would I, Dolphin Emulator does not come with any games, and Dolphin states the software is built to run legally acquired games. Dolphin Emulator does not come with games. We do not condone piracy in any shape or form, but we all know where you're going to get it, so do as you will. They've done their legalese. But this is one of the reasons why I got the deck, was to like make it easier to emulate old games that I've had that just don't run on the things that I have these days. So, which, since you were talking about 3DS, I don't know if you noticed that this week, Wii U and 3DS eShops got shut down.
I did.
So you can no longer, again, legally purchase those games.
And some are going to die on that platform. Which, for good or for ill, I know that there's some garbage ones out there that I won't.
Sure.
I don't think anyone's going to miss, but still, it's unfair that even as bad as the games are, you can never play them again. There are some games on the 3DS that no other platform can support because it wasn't built for it. So they're dead games.
Is done. Yeah, not doing it. So I'm excited for that, and I'm gonna definitely keep an eye for when that drops, and it'll just make it easier to run on my deck as well because it'll be integrated into the Steam, and I'm not trying to download all these things through the Linux, which wasn't too bad, but hey, making it easier to play games, I'm all about. And that's about it. I had one more little thing here about the PSVR 2.
Okay.
Just because it was a little shocking that they didn't do the expected sales or even close to what they were thinking. The expected sales at the end of March was 270,000 units, which doesn't sound bad, I guess, which sounds respectable, but Sony decided to say it was expecting to sell 2 million by the end of March. Which I guess is what they were hoping to kind of recoup. But the VP of Data and Analytics at IDC, his name is Francisco Geronimo, at least there's one I could pronounce, told Bloomberg that the price of the PSVR 2 would probably need to come down in price to avoid a complete disaster. Do I know if it's on complete disaster brinks? I don't know. People love to use those big words to make things sound worse than it is. Sounds super dramatic.
Yeah.
But hey, I don't make $1 million deals. And I know we discussed this on the show about that price point, how I was like, you're asking for more than the console and then a complete investment, what, $1,100? Then you buy a PC one if you have it, so.
Yeah.
Everything is just stupid expensive right now, man. And people are getting laid off and inflation and we're not, so I was wondering how well it would do because of the price, just because of the price.
Yeah, the price and the timing of it all. I mean, as that was going to be my argument. You're talking about in a time where not everybody is stable financially. So,
yeah.
And not a lot of people have recovered. Some people are still struggling. So, you can't just expect people to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't need to pay my bills. I'm going to buy a PlayStation VR 2.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because that could be rent for someone,
exactly.
a whole month, or a mortgage, if you're lucky enough to have a house. So yeah, that was all I had. Okay. Your turn. No.
My turn. Well, we're going to talk today about something that came out, and I'm sure that other people are going to talk about it this week as well. But this is the rare opportunity we actually get to talk about a movie on this podcast, and we're going to talk about Tetris, which was an Apple Plus exclusive movie or whatever. Did you get a chance to watch it?
I did.
Okay.
I finally had to do a bunch of maneuvering because, kind of funny story. I'm like, hey, niece, can I get back into your Apple? She's like, sure. I'm like, hey, I tried this and this. It's not working. She's like, try that. And I said, nope. And then she said, lol. And then that was the end of it. And I was like, well, she's not going to try anymore. So how dare you not give me your Apple in a reasonable amount of time? I didn't know PS5 gave you 6 months free.
Well, damn. See, there you go.
So when we turned on the PS5 to download it and I saw that, I'm like, well, just screw it. Let's just take the 6 months free. I already set my little calendar to remind me on September 29th if I don't want it anymore to cancel.
There you go.
Anywho, so yes, long story short, I did watch the Tetris movie.
Well, see, I had to go back to paying because I think I've already used my 6 month free thing. And then they're going to suck me in. They're going to suck me in for the long haul because
some good stuff.
I still have. We've got still got to rewatch or watch. I should say. Got to get to season 3 of Mythic Quest because I was enjoying that. Ted Lasso's on right now, so I can't miss that. Then there was that show Severance that you recommended.
I was going to say, I hope you were going to watch Severance.
I added that to my list. And
so good.
I feel like there was some... Well, they're bringing back Schmigadoon. And I love that.
Oh, so, yeah, I didn't care for it as much as you
I know, because it was musical.
It was a musical, yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm...
And Morning Show, I liked Morning Show. So, I mean, this might be... I might end up keeping it. Who knows? In 6 months. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm just going to... I'm going to keep my eyes on things because the moment they canceled Ted Lasso, which I know is, the end
This is their last season, right?
Exactly.
Like, it wasn't canceled. They were just going to
Well, yeah, they're ending it. So that's already strike one. It's going to make me walk away from it easy.
Yeah.
But
that
if they
was kind of the biggest draw for sure.
They continue to entice me with movies like Tetris, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't know, because I was really impressed with this movie. Now, is it factual? To a point.
I feel like
to a point.
It has to be dramatic, but yes.
Yes. I from what I understand, the facts, for the most part, are accurate. However, they embellished some of the things. And that was actually confirmed by the actual Hank Rogers himself. And, how do I say his name? Alexei Pazanov?
Oh, yeah, the guy who actually made the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
We'll
Alexei, I remember that much,
Yes.
and I know how to say it, so.
Pazanov. I think I'm saying that correctly, but we'll just call him Alexei. Alexei and Hank.
Alexei.
So they did confirm that, yeah, they did some embellishments because Hollywood and whatnot. And that's,
Well, sure. Because I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
I expected as much. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting them just to... Because it sounds outlandish, and it is outlandish, but there's truth in that somewhere.
Yeah.
And when you kind of think about it, even if you're trying to position yourself to try and understand the less embellished version, it's still insane to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
especially the era and all of this,
we won't go too deep into tearing it down or anything like that. I just want to get some basic, thoughts from you about it. And then I do want to touch on a few things. So spoiler, warning if you're worried about the story that, we should all know at this point.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean...
you want to just wait to see the movie or something, then yeah, spoilers.
Yeah, because that's another thing, too, that I'm still debating on, even after watching this, is I have been wanting to talk about this on the show. Do a breakdown of this story, because I've read through the story.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, all right. It just kind of catches you off guard to see how...
For Tetris.
Yeah,
I know. And it just sounds crazy that we say this now. I know then, but for Tetris.
But even still, I mean, it kind of made me put some other things into perspective, because I don't know if we've ever mentioned this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of listeners, if they go way, way back, would know this. But if you go to the way, way back of our first year, we spoke to and have conversed with a Russian video game developer.
Oh, yeah.
Konstantin Bulatov. He developed Star Story, the Horizon Escape, and then there was another one.
A music game.
Yeah, it was a rhythm game. Terror Rhythm, I think that's
Terror Rhythm, that's it. Yep.
So this was a man who lived in, or still lives in Russia. He's part of that culture. Now, granted, there's the divide. We're talking about Soviet Russia,
right?
When this was being made versus free Russia.
Yeah. Democratic Russia.
Yeah, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that the restrictions, gaming restrictions, and things like that, the concept of capitalism that seemed to be the driving force against Tetris.
Yeah.
Has been removed, because he seems to be able to make his own games and publish them on Steam.
And it's not just for the country.
And not just for the country.
Yeah.
So we understand that, but he even still understands the politics in that because we actually communicate every now and again. He seems like a great guy, and I remember one time that he had posted something about his grandfather, and if you kind of do the math on that, the time in which his grandfather would have been alive, could have been
he's our age-ish, right?
Yeah. So this is someone that could have been in World War I, World War II. So not really a good time for that country, and it was his grandfather, and he was just kind of sharing a memory about how about his grandfather, and I liked it. I thought, well, this is understanding two different sides. His politics could have been greatly different than ours. The type of people we'd call dictator or what have you, and
we don't know what they are getting peddled either.
Exactly.
So it's like
So it was in that moment that he reached out after the fact, and he was like, he said, I saw that you liked the picture of my grandfather and my post and everything. So I just want to say thank you. He said, fuck our politics. It's like our friendship can, overcome something like that. And I was like, absolutely. We don't need to be defined by our political stance in life.
And I mean, it doesn't mean that's our views. Just some of us just get stuck in an area where you can't control where you're born or any of that,
And I found that to be funny. It's like, so a man who grew up in this communist country can have that kind of mindset. Fucking people who want to scream freedom in America and they can't have the decency to just hear the other side out. And again, I know that goes both ways. I understand that 100% because I've seen them extreme on the left, extreme on the right. If we could just
everybody's got them.
Discuss, just have a conversation. You might realize you can come to an agreement on a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you disagree on certain things, you don't have to hate one another. But I'm getting off topic. Anyway, Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris.
Give me your thoughts on it. What would you think?
I actually had a good time with it. I wasn't sure because when I first watched the trailer, I admittedly I thought it was going to be unintentionally hilarious the way that just the way it was presented, and it seemed like it was trying to be serious. But then I would watch how they were acting, and I feel it was intentional now after having watched it. But I did enjoy it. It kept a good pace. I think the actors they chose were very interesting for it. I feel like I've seen lead dude before, but I can't quite place it. He gave me what's his name vibes, Spider-Man vibes. Not Garfield, not
Tom
the
Holland?
one everybody loves, Tom Holland. Thank you. Everyone's all like goo goo eyes for. He did give me those kind of vibes, like the way he has kind of the uptick in the tone of his voice and all of that. So I just got some Tom Holland vibes there for sure. But I thought it moved well. I thought it was interesting the way they told the story. I definitely feel like it had to be overblown. Although I do love the idea of them having like this high-speed chase. Yeah.
I know that for a fact was not 100%.
I love the fact that, they think that this high-speed chase happened so they could, get out of Russia. So they could, just the people that came to sign the dotted line. It's just this whole thing.
But you think about that alone. I mean, there has to be some truth in there. Maybe not a car chase, but some truth that they had to get the hell up out of the country.
Real fast.
Yeah. It was like, all right, let's go. So... regardless of how exciting the actual getting out of the country was, I feel like there had to be some element to that where they had to get out, at a without being detected. It's like, just go. And so, just even if it's little flourishes like that, I understand it's for entertainment purposes. As long as you're telling us the proper story, I'll take a little flourish every now and again. Sure.
Yeah, just to keep it fun and interesting, But yeah. I enjoyed it for one time. I don't know that it was something that I feel like I'd want to watch over and over again, as a favorite, but I thought it was fun. Yeah.
I kind of would like to watch it again, believe it or not. I don't know. Okay. There was just something about it because it really had kind of an energy to it. And the guy that you're talking about, the guy that played Hank Rogers, that was Taron Egerton. You might know him from, have you ever watched The Kingsman? Or The King, was it The Secret Service or The Golden Circle?
I don't know that I had.
What
I don't
about
know. I'll have to look him up.
Eddie the Eagle or Rocket Man, the Elton
We're gonna find out.
John
I've never seen this person.
biopic?
What's his name again?
Taron Egerton. I know you've seen him. He's been around the block.
I mean, he looked super familiar.
Yeah. Come on.
I'm like looking at this stuff. I'm like, I don't know that I've seen any of these movies.
Really?
Which is really interesting. Like, why do I know this dude?
I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah.
He genuinely, and I say this wholeheartedly, Taron Egerton is one of these actors that I have started, like, as I've been watching him, I realize I really like his work. I like him as an actor because every time I see him, he's just so charismatic. Yeah. He's so solid in every performance he's done. And I just really like him as an actor. So whatever he does, I think I'm there for. And this...
Yeah, no, I enjoyed him for sure.
And I think this is one of those films. That's why I kind of wouldn't mind coming back to it because of him. He just plays that part in such a great way that you see that excitement. You feel it. So when you're thinking about the conversations that he had about trying to get Tetris, the passion, I'm really hoping that the passion he conveyed on screen was true to Hank Rogers trying to get that. Because to me, that speaks volumes. Because if you take a look at the lengths that this man went through to secure the rights to this game, you have to be 100% confident this game is going to change everything. And I believed him. You know, when I saw him making these arguments, I believed it. Because I was like, yeah. Because, I mean, obviously we know, but he was selling it so well that you're just like, yeah, absolutely. This is going to be the big thing, and he's going to do whatever it takes. He knows there's danger, there's problems, but he is 100% confident this game is it, and he's not going to leave until he has it in his hand or the rights to it.
Even going over there, knowing it was probably a really not so great idea at that time.
And there were some elements to the film that I was kind of hoping that they were going to touch on. Now, granted, I felt like they kind of glossed over it because feel that maybe not necessarily important to this story, but there's a great story out there, and I kind of hope somebody out there watching who saw that Tetris is going to do well. Hopefully it's doing well, at least in streaming viewerships or whatever. Yeah. I think it could have done great in theaters, but that's just my opinion.
Probably. Yeah.
Then again, movies these days, you know, it's not blockbuster material. Right. Anyway. Where was I going with this? Oh, the Sega and Tengen and Atari nonsense, because they talked about Sega having the arcade rights, and I thought, yeah, that adds up. And then when they started toward the end, they mentioned Atari having their own version that they were going to publish, and I was like, that's the Tengen connection. And I remember all that. There was a lot of beef around that, but it wasn't necessarily about Tetris, so that's why I kind of feel like they slid it in because there was that issue, but
we didn't really get too far into it.
Yeah, it wasn't really 100% necessary for this story. So I get that.
I did love the line though where he's like, "Fucking hate Atari," you know, and I'm like, "Yeah, we'll continue to till the end of time."
Now you want to talk about an extreme embellishment.
Yeah.
Their version of Howard Lincoln is not how I've envisioned that man. Because I felt like from everything that I've heard, I'm not saying that he wouldn't be that way, but it felt like he was a little bit more aggressive than I've heard stories about him. You know what I mean?
Okay. Maybe they wanted him more likable.
Well, I don't know. Because, I mean, you think about it from... This is a man advocating for Nintendo of America at the time. All the rating stuff, all like we got to make it pure and all this, and then this dude's like motherfuckers over at Russia, and it was like, this is the guy advocating for clean fun.
That's usually how it is, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it was interesting, but I mean, it didn't take anything away from it for me. I was just like, that's cool, and
I enjoyed those two, actually.
I was hoping.
I don't know if that's how they really were, but I enjoyed those two.
Yeah, it's just the performances were so good from everybody, and those two specifically were on point. Mm-hmm. And I gotta give credit to the film for doing something that I don't feel like a lot of films can pull off, and that is transitioning from one kind of film to another, like almost in genre, to where, kind of as you said, you weren't sure what the vibe of the film was going to be. Mm-hmm. And in the trailer, they kind of give it a bit more of a poppy, is it serious, is it not kind of vibe? And then you get little snippets of something, but you're not 100% sure. Now, when you watch the film, it starts off with this fun and wonder of games and just the excitement. And then as we start getting deeper and deeper into it, especially when you get into trying to secure the rights from Elorg, it just becomes darker, but it never feels out of place. Like you took a heel turn somewhere and it's like, whoa, what happened? It just felt like a natural progression of the film. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, I get it. So you're just in it. So you feel it. And there were numerous times I kind of felt tense about everything because
for sure. Yeah.
You didn't know, like, I know the game came out. But what happened?
Had it. I had Game Boy. Mm-hmm. I played it on Game Boy. When I was playing it, I had no idea the links everyone went to make sure I had handheld Tetris.
Yeah, it was just insane to think about.
Just a game. Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just little things like that just added an element to it that I
also enjoyed the little pixelated scenes that they would do for you to feel like you were watching a video game for a moment, and then it would morph back into the full motion video or whatever. I thought that was a fun little touch too, especially when he was going off the rails, how excited he was about explaining this thing and then having that kind of come in as a demonstrative for what he was talking about. I thought that was fun. I thought that was a nice touch.
Even like the little interstitials they would have in the middle was like level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun addition.
And so another thing that I think kind of helped this film go along is, I don't know if you're familiar with the producer behind it, Matthew Vaughn. He's directed a bunch of awesome films. Some favorites of mine, like X-Men First Class. He did the Kingsman films that I mentioned. He's done, I think he did Kick-Ass was one that he did.
Okay.
So, and he's worked with Taron Egerton before, obviously, because of some of the ones that I mentioned. So this is like another collaboration with him. Mm-hmm. It's such a, I don't really know what more I can really say about it other than it was just in my opinion, just a great time.
It was a solid, fun time. Yeah.
For something that's a biopic, if you will, for at least two different people. Just the way it's all framed, the way it's played out, it's a thrilling ride. And I never thought in a million years, I thought Tetris, the movie. Because think about that too. Was that not, when we heard that they were going to make a Tetris movie, where did everybody go? It's like, oh shit, we're going to have pixels or something like that. Like some dumb, stupid idea.
Or like the Emoji Movie or, something like that. Like, how are they going to make this a movie?
Bunch of Tetraminos with legs and eyes and shit. Just look at me. I'm fitting in with everybody now. And it'll be about a fucking Tetris piece that can't fit in with anybody.
Right.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I could never clear a row.
That's clearly what we all thought that this was going to be. And then it turns into this, which was absolutely what it needed to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad they did that. Plus, was it not fascinating? I'm hoping this wasn't an embellishment. Like that they did not lie about this. I'm really hoping this is factual. And considering that the two guys actually, I guess, read over the script and reviewed it and kind of were like working with the writers, this has to be true, is the fact that Hank was responsible for the Tetris, as in the clearing of all four lines.
Yes. I wonder if that was true. I was wondering that too when that came up. Like, did he actually go over there? Did they have this time together? Did he suggest that and get it reprogrammed in? That would be interesting to think about.
I mean, it has to be. I can't imagine they would have looked at that and been like, what? No, that didn't happen.
We're going to rewrite how that happened, yeah.
If Alexei had done it, you give him that credit. You know, you don't give it credit to somebody else. Now, granted, I know he had to program it in, but the idea, I mean, sure, it had to go that way. If it didn't, then I feel like that's a huge middle finger to Alexi, because that was his idea. That was his concept. So to think that he looked at that game and he thought, you know what would be really cool is if you could just kind of plot more than one at a time.
More than one row.
Yeah. And then he's like, I never thought about that. Okay, cool. And then that's what did it. Because that's the game we all know. So there's like a whole version out there that we never played. Where it was just
Which
like
would have been one row at a time. Could you imagine, though?
No.
Because it would have just been the bottom row. Then how would you ever clear like the 4 that's piled on top, let's say, if that happened, you know? So interesting. You would have been getting stuck.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So if you don't have Apple TV...
get the free thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was reading today, I think even that they've had so many more people taking that 7-day free trial that were instantly watching this movie. So if you've never signed up for it, you could probably still get a 7-day free trial, which I think is the last streaming service offering a free trial anymore. So go for it.
There might be a time, I don't know if this has happened yet, but... Has Apple ever released any of their movies on a different platform? Like,
I don't know, but I don't think so. But I'm not sure I'm completely familiar with only Apple made TV because I've just started kind of watching it, I guess. Because I only went to Ted Lasso and I only went to Morning Show and then we watched Severance and then I lost access to Apple for a while. So because
I mean, I understand the idea of wanting to kind of lock down something exclusive to your platform, but I think after a while, if the interest is not there, you maybe put it out on a platform that other people can watch because it's not necessarily a draw anymore. It's kind of like because I think honestly I would own that movie. Okay. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was solid. I thought everything about it was solid, and I'd probably watch it again if I could find someone who's possibly never seen it. I'd love to show them that. But I don't know if it'll ever be possible because, and I guess the reason I'm asking too is because if I would want to watch it again, but I don't want to keep Apple TV, because I don't really see myself keeping the service. You know, it's going to be temporary until I get through Ted Lasso and then maybe whatever else. And hopefully I can get away from it at some point. But it's almost like Zoom.
It wasn't ridiculous. Like I saw that it was $8 a month. I was like, that's actually not.
It's not bad. No, it's not bad at all.
Because there's never any commercials.
No. So
you were paying $15 for commercialless other things. You know?
I can't complain.
Yeah.
But it's yet another service that I'm having to pay for that I didn't want to pay for. And every time I turn around, there's always like, hey, what about this? And I wish I could find a service that would allow me to just, I know certain ones do, but I don't like the way they do business, where you can add channels. Amazon seems to do something where it's just like, you can add a channel if you want, and you can watch it right here. It's like, yeah, but you do things that make me lock it down. And then if I have a subscription over here, you're like, well, you got to subscribe to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, not doing that.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I mean, it makes it easier for paying your bill at the end of the month, but because it's all going to one place and then you don't have to pay 5. But
anyway, I recommend it if it could possibly wind up on a platform outside of Apple because you don't want to deal with it, or if you already used your free trial. I get it, but I wouldn't hold my breath because I know Disney has said that they're not releasing any of their Disney Plus Marvel shows on Blu-ray or anything because you got to come here.
They've always done that.
I know.
Always. Even VHS days, I remember them limited releases, if I recall, every 10 years that would come out of the vault and we could buy it.
They still do that.
They've always, they do not let anyone else make money off of their stuff.
No, they do a thing
how little it is.
Now with the Disney Movie Club, which is a scam if I ever saw one. I'm not dealing with it at the moment because I'm getting benefits from it. But one day I'm going to have to cut the head off of that dragon because there's no way to cancel. Okay?
No way to cancel Disney?
No way to cancel your Disney movie club unless you call someone and then do that whole... They've made it impossible.
I hate this. Laws need to say, if you can take my money that easy online, I should be able to stop my money that easy online.
And that's...
Sorry. Come on, country, catch up.
That's the biggest thing that like, they got me here recently, and I don't know how I missed this because I'm always really good at it, but every month they'll send you an email and be like, hey, here's your, movie of the month. Respond in, 28 days or whatever if you don't want it, or if you do. But the funny thing is if you don't respond, they take that as I do want it. So, you see, that's the scam.
Yeah.
I think it should terrible. Be you. If you don't respond, then you're not going to get it. So it's your fault.
That would mean they may not make money.
Exactly. So that's how they get you.
This is why I don't like corporations.
So I screwed up. I had purchased a movie through them, and then I saw that movie came through, and I thought, well, I don't need it because I already bought it. So, and I was a little disappointed in myself because the bundle that they had put together, I was like, yeah, well, I could have used that upgrade, and the price is not that bad. So, but oh well. And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders. Apparently, I never hit decline. And then the next thing I know, a package shows up, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I didn't order anything. And I open it up, and there are the 2 movies that I didn't say no to, and I was like, son of a bitch. So
no, that's garbage.
Anyway,
but yes,
that's beside the point. Apple Plus,
Apple TV,
Tetris the movie is amazing. Something I never thought in a million years I'd ever say.
Right? Well, at least it wasn't what we thought it was going to be initially. Yeah. So it was, a deeper dive in a more entertaining way of how we all ended up with the game. And it was an interesting, fun ride. So I do recommend it.
Is it factual? I hope so. At least 75%.
I at least hope the major story beats.
Yes.
How it happened maybe was embellished, but, I'm hoping those major story beats were correct.
Well, perhaps we may look at that later on in a future episode because it's still something I have thought about. So we'll see. If I'm going to be rehashing the same story just without the embellishments, then I just may not say anything at all.
Sure.
Because
it's like
if you've seen it,
seen the best way.
Yeah. And it's going to be more thrilling on the big screen.
Right. Still 2 hours.
Yeah, still 2 hours.
All right. Well, that's our show. You can hit us up sometime on Twitter at Super Mega Crash, or go to Instagram to view the weekly icon art Stephen puts his time and love into. You can send an email to Grash. I can say words. supermegacrash@gmail.com. And you can also support the show by liking and leaving reviews on your preferred podcast app, and even going to patreon.com/Pencil and Paper Productions. If you want more than just podcast, head on over to youtube.com/Pencil and Paper Productions for more. And join our Discord. Join our tomfoolery in there. Links are in the description down below. Thank you so much for listening. I am Lacey Finley.
And I'm Stephen White.
And you could join us again next time, Super Mega Crash siblings. But until then,
game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.